there, jerk faces. It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about the news, current events. Again, more recently, it's become kind of a forum for more of our esoteric ideas. With me, as ever, is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody? Good to see. Good to see Andy.
Good to see you as well. Lots been going on in the news, and we will be touching on some of those things, as well as our movie review. And to remind you all that this month's theme is Robert Mitchum May. And tonight's, if you didn't read the title of tonight's stream, then you're completely in the dark about the movie. But the movie tonight is El Dorado, starring, of course, the titular Robert Mitchum and John Wayne.
And a very young James Caan.
Oh yes. How could I forget?
R.I.P.
R.I.P. James Caan. Since he did recently pass.
Every time I watch this movie, it's like, oh yeah, that's right, he's in this.
Yeah. In kind of slightly against type, because he's played more of like the tough guy, like gangster type. But in this one, he's and I would dare say that he's a kind of sensitive, kind of like man boy.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is, like, because I can only think of a couple westerns that he's been in. This is one of them, and there's one one from the 70s that he was a part of too. And I'm blanking on the name right now. So it's kind of like, like I said, if you're looking for a very different type of James Caan performance, well, here's your movie. I haven't seen the other James Caan western though. But it's a really great one. I'm really looking forward to talking about it. And Mitchum kind of does his thing, and which is very different from like what we talked about last week, and very different from the other films that we're going to be talking about this month.
Absolutely. So that to look forward to. But before we start, how's your weekend, Rob?
Week was pretty good. Mainly just been, my in-laws are gone, so just kind of was getting caught up on like some chores. That's pretty much that. I've been working. I've been catching up on chores. What else have I been doing? I kind of got back into I've been playing games this past week too. I've been I've been wanting to replay Final Fantasy X, so I've been doing that, and it's been it's just as fun as I remember it back when it first came out, because I bought that when it first came out, and it beat it. But there was a remaster that was done a few years ago now. So I'm kind of going back to the game and replaying it and having a good time with that. And been doing that. I watched the movie that we're talking about this week. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but I finally watched the Amazon Prime series, The Boys. And let me tell you, that show is amazing. It is one of, if you are tired of the, if you're getting superhero fatigue, check out this show, because this goes in a complete, yes, it does deal with superheroes, but it does a nice spin on the whole genre, and it's a really poignant social commentary. And
Mm.
I think it's I don't sure there I'm sure there is some sort of intent, but I don't know if they intended it for it to say what it really does say about like our society as a whole.
Mm. Well, I'm sure there. Yeah, I'm sure there is some sort of meta commentary going on. Because from what I haven't seen it myself, but I think I get the gist. Kind of like our society's ability to commodify anything, and so like why not superheroes? And you know, and I think Fantastic Four, right, the second one, the Rise of the Silver Surfer, they kind of were dabbling in that, because the character Johnny, he was like the characterization of Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movies that came out in the early 2000s, I think would have fit perfectly within the world of the boys.
Yeah,
If yeah, if I'm thinking what it's doing, if I if I think I know what the show is doing, then that characterization of Johnny Storm from that would fit in perfectly with the boys.
yeah. Actually, that's not a bad that's not a bad um, idea. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure when this like because it's based on a graphic novel. I don't know
Yeah,
when
yeah.
out
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I don't know how long running that has been going on,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe if it seems like it's a fairly new project, so it's possible that maybe they saw that and it's like, well, there's a good idea here, and then they created that graphic novel.
Right. Yeah, it's like you know, chicken or the egg kind of situation. But yeah. I mean, I remember, yeah, because I remember, we were, in communications, via text, and you were telling me how great it was, and so, I moved it up within my own queue.
Yeah,
So,
Andy, I'm serious. You,
all right.
I I it's not a very long. The seasons are very short. It's only 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you don't even honestly like. I didn't even realize like I I was like, oh, I'll just watch one episode, see how it goes, and then I ended up like finishing the first season like on one of my off days. It's just like that's how good it was. I was like, man, this is an amazing show.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll definitely bump it up, and yeah, maybe we can do like maybe next week we could maybe do a quick review on season one at the very
Yeah,
least.
I think that would be good. I think that that'll be a fun topic to do, and yeah, I think let's do that.
Okay. Really quickly though, should have maybe brought this up before streaming, but I'm gonna bring it up now. Um, did something happen at work the other day?
It might work.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I only asked because um, I went to the post office that you work at because it's my local post office to drop off a letter, and when I got there at about 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 9, like at the most like 15 after 9. Everything was still like closed. Like the mail the drive up mailbox slot was still closed,
That
and then
so yeah. So we are changing out our collection box out front,
uh,
and we're going to be replacing it with something else. I don't. So that's why that's closed. But
uh,
like, what else was closed at that
oh
time?
well, and then I saw that the cover was still on, the big box for the
Yeah.
big
Oh,
collection box
that's
that was
why.
still locked up, and so I decided to park my cart and then walk in and just hand it in. But even the office part was closed, and then I saw the smaller box next to the big collection box, and I saw that there was nothing blocking that, so I put my letter in there
So you can't wait. When did you come in? Like 15 minutes after?
yesterday. Yeah, like
yesterday.
a little bit after 9 at the.
Oh, because we don't open the front counter until 10 o'clock.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
Okay, so that was that about.
yeah. So we're open from our post office is open from 10 to 5:30 for the front for the window services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all your for all your shipping needs.
Right.
However, the lobby is open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can use the self-service kiosk. Although I think that actually broke down a couple of days ago. So there we had to do is we had to have a service ticket put out on that. But no, that front collection box, we are. I think we're supposed to change it this week. They're going to come by, take that out that one, and then they're going to put in several smaller ones. So it's like you're going to still be able to so that people you'll still be able to drive up, put in your mail and stuff like that. But I think they're going to give us like a little bit of a more secure box, so it's like a lot less easy to break into. Because we unfortunately the reason why we have those locks to begin with is because you would get people who are very cleverly, by the way. I mean, they use like these really like sticky fly traps, and they have these whole like tether situation, and they're trying to grab mail out of there, hoping that they get checks that they can wash and like kind of
Right.
do their thing with. Which hey, I respect the hustle. It's pretty. It's like these guys are crazy, man.
I know. Can't fault them for the ingenuity.
Yeah. But yeah, that's they're supposed to change them out like I think this week. But because I was just as surprised as you when I came in. It's like I had to unlock them one morning, and I was like, well, where are the keys? It's like, oh yeah, because I think I was gone for a couple of days taking care of my wife about a week ago, so I wasn't at work, and I came back and like the keys were gone and all. I was like, well, where is all this stuff? And yeah, it turned out they're going to be changing out all that stuff. So that's why the boxes were locked.
I see. Okay, well, good to know because I mean, I was unaware that the hours were from 10 to 5, so
Yeah.
So that's on me. But yeah, I was just curious.
Nope, everything's fine at work. I was like, wait, did something happen while I was like not there? Like, did someone get beat up or? It's like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of purposely asked you to kind of like to kind of bury the lead, but yeah. I
well,
mean, yeah. I didn't mean like, oh yeah, there was like a drive-by shooting or whatever. No.
I was like, well, shit. I'm glad I wasn't there.
Right. Yeah, but no, yeah, nothing as exciting.
No.
But yeah, it was fine. I dropped off my letter in the other small receptacle, and hopefully it gets to where it's supposed to go.
And you can always for ours too. You can always come in the back, the back as well. And if like you have a bunch of letters, like you can just drop them off there too.
Ah, I see. Okay, good to know.
But you can always honestly, if you're ever concerned, just text me you're like or call me, and I'll grab your letters from you.
Right. Well, yeah, I didn't know if you because aren't Mondays your days off?
Not anymore. Thursdays are my days off.
Ah, I see. All right, very good. Okay, so let's get into the topics of the day. Anywhere you want to particularly start off on?
Well, we did talk about since I was watching The Boys, I think we'll start off with Allentown.
All right, sounds good.
And so, if you guys are unaware, we have yet another mass shooting. And what do you think were all the discussion points that you saw on the news, Andy?
Oh, easily, right-wing extremists, white supremacists, scary military style, assault weapons, uh, mental health,
Yeah,
etc.,
there's
etc.
that. I'm sure there was. video games, violent
Right, right, right.
movies,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
usual.
I heard, I didn't see the videos, but I do know that certain uh, right wing pundits did come out, kind of denigrating, video games and anime, of all things.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's like the
Yeah,
same old.
yeah.
And I know
It's
who
the
those
moral
are.
panic. Like, it's like the moral panic of the '90s all over again. It's like, oh, the video games are turning our kids into psychos. It's like, no.
You know how many like it's the we talk about like debunked talking points. I don't know how many more times like you keep trotting out this corpse of a horse
Of course, of
to beat
course.
on, and it's like how many hours of Grand Theft Auto or like some sort of like Call of Duty have I played? I can't even count. It's innumerable.
Hmm.
How many people have I decided to buy a gun and shoot? Zero, because I'm not a freaking crazy person. And they these guys keep saying, "Oh, well, it's molding the minds of our youth and stuff like that." It's like, well, okay, first of all, you, especially when it comes to the right wingers,
Hmm.
okay, you don't like big government, yet you want the government to do something about this.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Why don't
Exactly.
you
Yeah, because
personally
particularly
take?
particularly with the gun thing, like they don't want any regulations on guns, but then you're perfectly willing to allow them to regulate video games, which last time I checked would fall under the First Amendment.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not saying you can't comment on like something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay, if you don't like Grand Theft Auto, that's fine. Plenty of people have shown like a lot of like, this game makes me feel weird, or like they don't, it makes them feel uncomfortable. Okay, that's fine. You don't, and one, you don't have to play it, and two, first of all, kids should not be playing that game to begin with. It it's not because of like the quote unquote violence, but the some of the material that's in there, it's too graphic, it's too mature for kids. It's not made for kids. It's made for adults. And but like instead of like these guys saying like, you know what, I don't want my kids playing games. I don't like. I as a parent am going to lead my kids down this certain path. You are the one that's in charge. Don't make like the now all of a sudden you want to wield the government's power like to like, oh well, we need to stop like this from happening. It's like there is a purpose to the government. To me, that isn't it. It's just like you want to. Um, there's plenty of other things that the government should be doing. That like this is just like a to me is like a distraction, and this is why these people are losers. Sometimes they lose all the time. Yes, they a lot of the conservative pundits and politicians seem to they always find a way to grasp defeat out of the jaws of victory. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah,
and
it's so baffling to me because they're particularly those on the right who constantly crowing about government encroachment and the usurpation of our civil liberties and oh, like keep your hands off my guns or come and take it or whatever. But it's like when it comes, for some reason, like when it comes to the realm of free speech, and yeah, and they're like, they're all about like, oh, I want to be able to say what I want to say, but then like you keep a company from creating content or entertainment that you don't particularly enjoy. You're too swift to wield the hammer, as it were.
yeah, it's just and it's like and on the flip side of that coin too, you have all the left wingers who trot out their same old dead corpse of a horse that they beat on. It's white supremacy. It's this. We need gun control. We need this and this. Like, it's so we're gonna. You have a crazy person that his probably has a mile long track record of being a crazy person that should not have all the quote unquote gun laws that you guys have created uh wouldn't have done anything because your government agents that have probably been to this person's house how many times, who knows, probably several, as we're going to find out more than likely in the next few weeks, that it turns out like, oh yeah, he there was he had the police called in on him because he was showing signs of violence and he was bad to his family. He'd been had all these all this stuff that was going on, and the FBI is like, don't see anything here. And it's just that kettle pot, what we talked about last time. It's that kettle pot. It's like because they want this stuff to happen. And what sucks is because innocent people get taken out in the process, is because they know this kid's gonna blow, and what happens? He blows. Oh, big shock. So instead of like, getting this person psychiatric help or locking him away somewhere, he ends up exploding and killing people and innocent. And this is time after time after time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, like I said, it's not just like one thing. It's a myriad of things. It's probably bad family life, no sort of supervision or care. It's maybe the person is just freaking evil. That's also a possibility. It's people don't understand that is a possibility. There are people who are evil and they have evil intentions, and they don't care. They have zero empathy, and it's in sometimes sometimes these things just happen. But like I said, we're probably going to find out that there was a lot more involved, and they're going to try to stuff that under the rug so that they can trot out their talking points. And you have the right beating their side and the left beating their side of the horse. And in the end, it's like who can beat the horse down faster.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because all they're doing is just sending that the right and the left. They're both sending that horse at the glue factory.
Yeah, that's like
and I mean, in this particular horse, I mean, in this metaphor, and I think I'm correct, but correct me if I'm wrong. But is the Constitution?
Yeah, it is. That's bingo. You got it.
Because ultimately, what they're doing is beating down the Constitution, the horse that is the Constitution, and then sending it off to the glue factory, meaning like no one has rights, and we will mess, and there's no there are no more protections for any of us.
But no, why I bring up The Boys, the show from Amazon, whether they realize it or not, like they have created this really interesting social commentary, and honestly it's a scathing indictment of kind of this media the was it Crowder calls it the media industrial complex. I mean, it's just spin all these producers and spin doctors and government officials all working together to just create fake crap that they're putting out there. And so you have this situation that happens, and like whatever that the actual truth is, maybe the person's crazy or he is an evil person, or he was a violent offender, that was not stopped by the proper police officials, whether they be like local or federal, state or federal, that did not stop this from happening. And like they knew about this kid or this person that does this thing. But instead of that being the truth and it being an indictment on the people who who had the ability to do something and didn't do it, whether that be his family or the police, it gets spun into this all these stupid talking points. Oh, it's video games. No, we need more gun control. We need this, and and that's all you ever hear on these news channels and news sites. That's all it is. And we've been talking about this since Columbine. It's been going back, which is we're coming up on what 25 years of that, since that happened, and it's been the same
Wow.
talking.
Has it been that long?
It's 99, so what we're in 2023. Well, I mean, it's a little over,
Almost 25. Yeah, almost 25 years.
It's been almost that long, which is crazy because that feels like it was just yesterday to me. Jeez. But it's been this every time since. It has been the same stupid talking points.
Yeah, and I mean, to the point of like violent video games or whatever, there have been, I know that these people know, but there was that study that was done that they found that people who got their aggression out in video games were less violent people.
Yeah, how many people have I killed in video games?
Yeah, so like the guys play the GTAs or they play like the CODs or or whatever, and they get their frustrations and they get their aggression out through video games, and they become more calm individuals because they have an outlet for their anger, their frustrations, and so they become less violent, as opposed to them saying like, oh no, you can't do any of these things, and and then you keep telling them you can't do this, you can't do that, and slowly you pen these people off. And I mean, I'm not saying that everyone is going to become like this, but then certain individuals who already have certain predilections to psychotic breaks will break.
Yeah,
and then and you get these incidents.
Yeah, it's been debunked. All these things have been debunked over and over and over again, but they don't. It's like people still buy into this stuff. It's crazy. I don't get it. It's I don't know if it's just because. I mean, not to sound like a jerk, but it's like, am I just smarter than all these people?
Yes.
It's like it's in reality. It's like I feel like, was it from Zoolander? It's like, am I taking crazy pills? Yeah, it's all the same look.
It's all the same look. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's all the same look. It's always video games. It's always it's always the gun and not like the person wielding the gun. It's like a man who builds a house, and people come, after he's finished, they come and admire it, and they pick up the hammer. It's like, wow, hammer, good job building that house. It's like,
yeah, oh no, this hammer just dropped and started hammering. It started putting the house.
I know, together. Yeah, this hammer just like it's like just got started just got up on its own and started banging in nails into boards and putting in shingles and whatever. Like, hey, look at this hammer built this amazing house, and the guy just standing there is like, I'm right here, guys.
And it's not even that like cool automatic hammer that Homer Simpson invented.
Oh yeah. And there's a Simpson reference for the day, for the episode.
Oh man, it's just I don't. It's like, and the thing that sucks is because when this happens, and it every time that this happens, they trot this crap out, and the victims get forgotten, and we glorify the monster that does this thing, and we all the people that are responsible get to hide behind all that, and the victims get forgotten. Or you have you have these officials who will literally step on the graves of the people that were just involved in this attack, and just to make their talking point. See, if we had gun control, so and so wouldn't have died today. It's like they're essentially stepping on his corpse,
Right.
which is really disgusting.
Man, the bodies aren't even cold yet.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. The bodies aren't even cold yet.
We live in a stupid society. It bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's super frustrating, and when especially it's hard for. I mean, I don't know too many people, because I just in general kind of keep away from people. As sociable and gregarious as I am, I tend to stay away from people. But every once in a while I'll hear a conversation, and they'll bring up these same talking points, and I'm just like,
oh, it's like it takes all of my power, just like, oh man, it's like I feel
I try to have the Jesus defense, if I forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
It's like they don't realize that you're essentially calling for Barabbas and putting Jesus in keeping Jesus in prison. That's what is happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's crazy, man. It just, that's the thing that upsets me now when these things happen. It's not like, oh, here we go, and another tragedy. It's like, okay, it's how is this going to be used to? Oh, I mean, I know how it's going to be used to manipulate things, but it's like here we go again.
Right, but to your point about like it feeling manufactured, I told you this before we started streaming, but yet on ABC there was like this shot of these people running away supposedly from the shooter, and it just so happens to be a woman and a child, presumably it's mother and child, and you hear this child like utter something like, it's like, oh, kind of run away or whatever, and it's like so tragic, and but it's not like cell phone image, which which would be kind of suspicious. Like if there's shots going off in the background, but then this person stops to record something, kind of sus. But this one was just so it was in 4K. Let's just put it that way. It was in 4K. Like, all right, and for those of you shooters out there, and I mean like photographers, videographers, anyone who's worked with cameras, you'll recognize it instantly. The shot was from a static position, low, and there was a technical term is called bouquet, which is basically another way of saying shallow depth of field. And shallow depth of field, if you don't know, is when like the person, the subject is in focus, but then the background and like parts of the foreground are out of focus.
Yeah.
And then so that's what happened. Like as this woman and the child were running towards the camera, like it was almost like tracking. Like the focus kept on them. And it's like, how was there like a 4K camera capturing this? What? Where did this footage come from? Was like the local network affiliate out there, doing some sort of weather, like puff piece or weather thing, and it just happened to capture this image. Call me cynical, but methinks there was a different purpose.
Yeah, and it's like we're not talking manufacturers like the victims are manufactured. That's not what we're talking about. We're
Right,
talking
right.
about
Clarification. We're not saying that
yeah,
nobody died.
no, because
No.
there are victims in here. People did die, but it's like manufactured as far as like, oh, we're gonna get this perfect shot, and then you just happen to have like this like really nice camera in this one spot, just happen to capture this footage. I highly doubt that. I doubt it. That's all.
Yeah. I'm skeptical. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Maybe
I'm
there
not
is a reason. Maybe there is a reason why that camera is there.
right, and I gave a perfectly good explanation of why a camera of that sort was there. Like maybe a local news affiliate, like network affiliate news station was there doing something about like the weather they were having, or doing a story on businesses after COVID, and they're
Right,
getting some B-roll or whatever.
right, right.
That's perfectly within reason. But
That
to
see,
get
that's
that perfect of a shot where they were like they tracked this woman and that child.
yeah.
They tracked it. That means like someone was on the focus ring following this woman as and that child as they were coming closer to the camera.
They're either like the luckiest videographer in the world, or it's very suspicious.
Very suspicious. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying no one died. I'm not saying it wasn't a tragedy. I'm just saying that one particular shot is suspicious.
Well, and this is what we talk about too, like when we talk about like Ace in the Hole and all this stuff like that, where it's all manufactured or like Network, it's all manufactured garbage. Nightcrawler is the same way. Nightcrawler is really like is
Like
definitely
Nightcrawler
like
is like, oh my god.
it's because it's real. This is what actually happens. That's
I
what's
mean,
scary. That's
even
what's
just
scary
think,
about
yeah.
Night.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Because before, the TV news station, they would send out their own people to get the story, right? But now
Yeah,
you have these, third party companies going out there, and there's no real onus to maintain journalistic ethics and not compose shots or
exactly.
or trespass onto properties and stuff like that. There's no onus to maintain journalistic ethics.
Because the reason why not is because they need to get the most exciting shot because they're going to
Exactly.
get more money
Right.
from these
As
media
right
from these
as
media conglomerates,
right
and that
as Nightcrawler perfectly
does.
coined. If it leads, it bleeds.
Yeah, and that's essentially the equivalent to like Kirk Douglas's character in Ace in the Hole saying it's like no news is bad. No news is bad news. Bad news is good news. Kind of
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
his statement was. It's the same thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
jeez, it's so corrupt and gross. I just
Mm-hmm.
hate. I really hate this stuff so much, and people keep buying into it. That's what, and it's funny because you're gonna see what I saw in The Boys, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like they captured it perfectly, like how just disgustingly corrupt news coverage is. It's
Mm-hmm.
so bad. It's like, oh
Right, because like one of the inciting incidents is this guy, and he's just proposed to his girlfriend, and then a superhero, a speedster, I think, like basically runs into her and explodes her, and
yeah,
and like and then they have to do like some sort of spin thing
oh dude,
about that incident.
yeah. Wait, like I said, it gets worse as the season goes on. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, but oh yeah, so I will be checking that out. Um, But yeah, I mean that's partially why I don't even watch the news anymore.
I can't. I can't do it, Andy. I cannot do it.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
it makes me physically ill to watch legacy media news.
yeah, and I mean it's just constantly the same thing. It's just like if it's not Trump, then it's a school shooting. If it's school shooting, if it's not a school shooting, then it's Trump, and then um, back and forth, and then it's like, oh, election denier, or oh, the Republicans are bad.
Oh, January 6th. We're gonna
Yeah,
trot out
January
that.
6th.
It's like the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah, don't you know, Robert? It's the worst thing that happened since 9/11.
Oh, man,
Didn't you know, Robert? Didn't you
I need to
know that
start
it was
putting
the
my.
worst thing to happen since 9/11?
I need to have my flags at half mast until we get this thing solved, and every perpetrator of January 6th is executed.
I know, right? No justice, no peace. Am I right?
Good Lord. I hate these people so much. I really.
I know. We live in the stupidest timeline.
I seriously and it's not like that. If like it was just like the media and like the government and these people were like separate entities, but they have now merged into one.
Right? Yeah. This
Disgust.
giant amorphous blob. Yeah. We literally don't know where the I guess the press ends and the government begins, and vice versa.
And now it's like it's gotten to the point now you have these corporations that are getting involved too. So you have this weird blob of private and public sector like kind of as the same thing.
Right? Yeah. The lines are gone. There's no more distinction.
Which is by design.
Mm-hmm.
Because these people hate the United States. They hate individuality. They want to have just one giant blob of
right. Yeah,
gray.
and I mean, yeah, and a lot of people think that's like, oh no, the left is all about like, well, what about like transgenderism and all these like 72 different flavors of gender? It's like, no, they're trying to promote, you know, multiple gender. They're trying to atomize. It's like, no, if you actually stop and think about what they're trying to do, uh, they're actually going for androgyny, because ultimately it's, the attempt is to make everyone um, think the same, believe the same, even look the same. Like, so like there's like no like, so there's no more gender distinction. So really, the people, people thinking that the left is like pushing, gender ideology to like, atomize people. They're not. They're actually trying to, bring it down to just to one. To like, kind of like the mindset of like that they have, like, of like centralizing power.
Yeah.
They too are about central, kind of like whittling down and centralizing everything to like so that there's just one. There's no more distinction between male and female. It's all just androgyny, and getting rid of any unique or distinguishing characteristics, and just all being this, you know formless blob.
I honestly, that's an interesting point. Like it's like the the left is trying to create like like there's no more male or female, like everything's the same, and because they are there's a lot of these people who are very godless, and this is what happened because in Christianity, we do have that idea like where you are no longer male or female, Jew or Greek, slave or master, because you are all one in Christ. But there's something beautiful about that statement and the reality of that, as opposed to what they're trying to create in this.
Right, right. It's always an inversion.
Yeah.
It's always an inversion, because we are one in Christ, but the leftist, like, progressive, inversion of that is we are all one with each other.
Yeah, which is no, you're not.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, there's because humans are weak. If we don't put our hope, our belief into something greater than ourselves, then it'll fall apart, always.
Right. Um, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. It's just these people disgust the hell out of me. It just
Yeah, it is. It's all very distasteful. and the more that I would, the more and more you just this detach yourself from legacy media, the better you'll be off. I promise you.
I've started to, I think, in the recent few months, I've started to help like people see that the news is really not your friend, man. Like, and like, oh my God, you're right. Like, it's like, because I was thinking, okay, think about like these type of stories. What do you hear every night on the news? Like, what are they telling you? Is there anything that you find like that is helpful? Does it inform you? Do you feel that you have been informed, or that you've actually been given news, or are you being fed opinion? Are you being force fed something? Are you being told that you need to be afraid of this? You need to buy that. You need to this person's bad, this person's good. It's like how is it like made your life better? And when they think of it in those terms, it's like, oh my God, you're right. It's like, and I've started to see people kind of wake up a little bit, when they put it in those terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be an interesting study of like, uh, when you talk to people, it's like, so first of all, what do you think that news is? Like, what if you were to, when you look at your newspaper or your or like online, like like if you're looking at like New York Times online, like, because sometimes people don't have physical newspapers, they subscribe online, they read it there, or you're watching news on TV, whether it be whatever channel you choose, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, whatever. What do you expect from the news? Like, what is news to you? And I would be very interested to. I think it'd be very interesting to hear what people have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if there's been a study or someone like asking that question.
No, that's a really good question to ask.
Yeah, I might end up starting to do that a lot more, because
Mm.
I think when you start to think about it, it's like, okay, if news is supposed to be information that you were being given based off of what's happening, sure, there's going to be tragedies. Like, it's like, okay, so you're probably going to be informed about bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, how does that affect you personally? Did that make your life better, or did it make your life worse? Did it inform you that, oh, maybe I need to do something about this, or are you just like detached? And or when you hear about like these big news stories, that, let's say it's about the president or it's about these mass shootings, how is it being talked about? Are you being informed, or are you being given a lot of force-fed opinions?
Right. Are you getting more who, what, where, when, or are you getting more I think?
Yeah,
That I think that would be the biggest distinction. It's like, are you getting more of the who, what, where, when, or are you getting more of the I think, or in light of,
yeah. It's not, like the who, what,
like,
where,
or
when.
I feel.
It's not, that's not completely like unbiased, but it's better than I think. My opinion is, and this
Mm.
like cacophonous,
Yeah, I mean,
checkerboard of pundits.
right, exactly. That's why you have, like, it's not just the solo, anchor that dispenses the facts of the story. It's like you have the anchor who editorializes the event and then swings it over to a panel of talking heads who then they also give their opinions.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
I know everything. Yeah. Yeah, like basically the cousin Vinny argument.
Like, that's what it is. That's that's what that you have, like, so you have on like CNN, you'll have like that one like token conservative that like the that
Yeah, who's
court
barely conservative and
that
he's
court
more
just
like Yeah, and he's more and like they're more of a Romney type, like a neocon.
And like they just like you have like the three other people yelling at that dude,
Hmm.
and like but they're all
It's
saying the
your yeah,
same.
it's your constituency. It's your people on your side, and
Yeah, it's all but they're
but then
all saying
yeah, but then but
the same.
the conservative guy is also like very milquetoast. He's like, oh, sorry, yeah, I'm bad because of my skin color.
Yeah, it's like and then but then it's the same problem over on like Fox News. They'll have like the one or two token like liberals or whatever that like
Right.
come over. And it's
Hmm.
like but they're all saying the same thing. They're just yelling at each other for no reason. It's like you should be angry.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's funny because yeah, Owen Benjamin he did a review or analysis breakdown of Network
Oh,
recently.
dude, I want to hear that. I
Yeah,
want
and
to
it's good. It's good.
because that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, but he basically kind of he I think he laid it out perfectly, saying that that and he reviewed it. He watched it, just as the whole Tucker Carlson firing thing
Yeah,
happened. And so he's like, "Oh my God, this is
it's
network.
William
We're
Longstreet.
living network right now, And
Yeah.
it's just like, I mean, as much as I enjoy Tucker Carlson's content or had, when he was on Fox, um, all it is emotion. So it's like, oh, you should be really angry about this thing, but then no solution.
He is Max Beal.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all emotion. It's all like stuff to like get you riled up. So like red flag laws and drag time, drag queen story hour and stuff. It's like but it's like all things to get you emotionally riled up, but then but no solutions.
Of
You
course.
know
Well, that is what our modern news is,
exactly.
and that's why like
I mean, yeah, I think not to be tooting our own horns here, but I think ours is, I think our, I guess, coverage of the news is much uh, better for people than watching MSNBC, CNN, Fox, et cetera, et cetera. Because again, 'cause, I mean, we said this constantly, but like, yeah, we have a bias, and it does lean toward, it is right leaning, but we're upfront about that,
we're upfront about
and
it. We also don't claim to be newscasters or like
no,
newsmen.
no, we're not journalists. We're not news anchors. We're just two guys on the internet, talking about things that are going on in this world, and but also offering up solutions, and I mean practical solutions, not just, oh yeah, I should get really upset and then just go out and march in the streets. No, like, what is marching in the street gonna do? But
Nothing.
if you decide to maybe watch, if you even decide to watch 30 minutes less, legacy media, news telecast, you're way better off than anybody, out in the street marching about like how they need, more rights or whatever.
You're already like 25% more informed by doing that.
Yeah, or even taking that simple of action of just watching 30 minutes less of, network TV.
Yeah, it's Network. That's a movie like that. We'll need to actually do a full on review of Network because I think that
Haven't
movie.
we though?
No, we've talked about it a whole bunch, but we've never actually sat down and done a review of Network.
Really? Because I could have sworn we reviewed this movie.
No, we did Ace in the Hole finally.
Uh huh.
We've talked around Nightcrawler, Ace in the Hole, and Network. We finally did Ace in the Hole, but we have
Yeah, no, yeah,
not.
we didn't we do network that month?
No, we did not.
What did we do?
We did
Yeah, I
some.
know Ace in the Hole, Nightcrawlers. Um,
I don't think I no. I don't think we actually did Network.
really? I could have sworn we did. I know we
I,
watched it.
we'll have to. We'll have. To, I had. I'll have to go back. I'll look and see like when our Ace in the Hole review was. Maybe
Okay, yeah, I think that was like sometime late last year.
I don't remember. I don't remember if we. I don't think that we did, but I could be wrong.
Anyways,
But But I love that movie. I want to hear Owen
Oh,
Benjamin's take.
it's great. Yeah, it's great.
You'll have to send that to me because I
Yeah.
want to.
Oh, it's yeah. He has a Rumble channel. He has an Odyssey channel.
Okay. Oh, he is on Rumble. Okay. All right. I'll
Yeah.
check him out.
So yeah, I think yeah, it's just that it's. I think it was like 3 weeks or a month ago that he did that
Okay.
review.
I'll take a look.
It's kind of he doesn't really do clips on Rumble or Odyssey, but the entirety of the stream is on those
Okay.
sites, and it's pretty easy. Just scroll through and he plays some of the clips, and so when you see some of the clips pop up, then you know he's talking about the movie.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, that's like I said. That's all I got to say about that. Don't watch mainstream media, kids. It's bad for your health.
I know. You might as well you'd rather what is it? It'd be better if you took up smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for smoking, kids.
Thank you for smoking. Yeah. Of course, I'm not advocating for anyone to smoke.
No.
All right. All right. Let's get into the second topic of tonight. And it's less of a news story as it is it's more of a it's basically a continuation of a conversation that we had yesterday.
Yeah, this is one of those esoteric thought exercises that
Right.
we tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny, like the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't call it quote unquote controversy, but like I've certainly ruffled some people's feathers. And we were talking about where some people were uncomfortable with some of the topics that we talked about, maybe some of the language that we use, and it's like, well, how is that benefit? And these are, uh, God bless them. They're kind of they're Christian, so they're like, well, how is this benefiting like the gospel? Are you doing things for the glory of God? Now, do we occasionally talk about the Bible here? Of course we do. I mean, obviously, like we don't separate. You and me, I would say that we don't. The Bible is not separate from what we do. Like, it's like, oh, this is my church life. This is my home life. This is my this life. No, no, no. This is a part of us, right?
Right. I think. I mean, maybe I don't want to speak for you, but yeah, I'm trying to compartmentalize my life less.
Yeah, it's because it's really easy to do, to be honest.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I I think I do a pretty good job. I'm kind of the same person that I always am.
Mm-hmm.
For better or for worse. It's like, but God is not separate from any part of my life. It's like that is always a part of me. And I don't hide my Christianity by any means. Mm-hmm. Maybe I do things that people would be like, church going, like really. I think the difference for me is like similar to how I am politically. When it comes to spiritually, I feel like I'm a person without a home because, I'm not of the world anymore, and like I understand them, but I'm not a part of them. And at the same time, like I'm a part of the church, but the church doesn't really. I have had a lot of terrible experiences at church. Mm-hmm. That's not like that is. Could that be like? Is it partly my fault? Possibly. Yeah, it probably is. Like I'm not gonna say that like I'm fully like I'm not to blame in some cases. But like I don't feel like I have a home spiritually half the time. But that doesn't mean that like my faith goes by the wayside. It's if anything, my faith is stronger than it has ever been. I do believe in the Bible. It is a part of my life. Now, like when it comes to this is not a Bible study podcast. That's not what we do. Do we occasionally have segments where we do talk about the Bible? Absolutely. And I think when we do that, we talk about it in a accurate way. We're not lying about what's in there, or lying about how to interpret it or how we talk about it. But I think what's more important is that although we might, like, if we get stuff wrong, that's we can have bad takes on things. We have opinions. Occasionally, sometimes those opinions or predictions on things are wrong. That's okay. But we're not. I don't. I would say we are not lying to you. That's a huge distinction. Um, what we do here is we tell the truth as we see it, and we are telling our thoughts honestly, like what's on our hearts, what's on our mind, and that that's to me is more important in a era of, we just talked about the mainstream media and like how it's a giant grift. They're lying to you. They don't like you and they don't respect you. I would say that we have more respect for people than these guys do. And there's a lot of grifters out there. I would say that that's not what we do. We're not grifters. We're not trying to, I'm not saying that I wouldn't like us to be, have like more followers, more viewers or whatever, and potentially have some sort of advertising or whatever, just as because all that would go back into the podcast and make it even better. But we're not gonna sell our souls to make that happen either. And I think that's, and like the things that we talk about, they're very hard subjects, and we have to deal with things that are uncomfortable. We have to wrestle with things that are uncomfortable, and I can see like why that would ruffle people's feathers. When it comes to how does it like does this really affect how is this a good testimony to your Christianity? And I for one would say yes, it is actually. I am no saint, but I also, because we deal with these tough topics and tough subjects, we are fertilizer merchants, Andy. We deal with shit. It is very dirty. It is smelly, and we don't always look the best. We don't always, it's like no one really, like when they look, it's like, oh, you're dirty, you're gross. But you know what? What we produce is a good foundation so that seeds can be planted and grow. That is what we do.
Right. We're that little bit of extra, to help the growth. Like, we're not saying that we're responsible for the growth, but we're trying to help the growth.
But we are necessary for growth to happen.
Yeah. And to that point, because I've been asked this about like whether whether this stream or the podcast is a good testimony to people, and if it detracts from the message of the gospel and things like that. And basically mostly the criticism is about the harsh language. But I was just reminded of this what is it? This pastor, and this is a while back. This is maybe like early 2000s, or it might have been a quote from earlier, but I believe his name was Tony Campolo. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
That name does sound familiar.
Yeah, but he was giving a sermon basically, and he was talking about like, he was talking about how millions of people are gonna go, like millions of children are gonna go home, go starving tonight, and people are X amount of people are living out on the street, but you guys don't give a shit. And he said that during a sermon,
Yeah,
on a Sunday, and everyone is like, but
Well,
then he
there. I
finished
think
it. But he finished it. He finished his point by saying it's like, but he's like, but you're not gonna care. You're gonna be more upset that I said shit at church than you care about those people who are starving and
exactly.
homeless.
Yeah. It's like their asses puckered so hard. I mean, you could hear you hear the whistle. It's like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, and first of all, now, first, why? How is it that these have been the words that we determine as like, oh, these are the bad curse words? I don't. Where was that like memo? Like when the English language was coming together. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. For first of all, and we did talk about this a couple weeks ago, or no, actually, I think it was last week that we talked about this, where the idea is like if you give so much power to these words, you're making it like a type of god in a sense. Oh, these are the ones you can't mention.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's we talk about like how the Jews in the Old Testament when you look at the Hebrew, the way that it's written down, like the name of God is written down, it's unpronounceable because they did not want to say the name of God. They could not utter it because it was holy. They had to create a different type of word to go around that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, basically, yeah, the name, but without the
without the vowel.
vowels.
Yeah, and so it's essentially unpronounceable,
Mm-hmm.
and because they did not want to pronounce the name of God because it was holy. That is that makes sense because you are making this. You don't say this word because it is God. It's you cannot. You don't want to you don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? But anyways, like that's
Blaspheme.
yeah, you don't want to blaspheme against God. That
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. But when you say like, "Ooh, you can't say this word," it's like, well, why not? Why not? Why can't we say this word? Why are we giving it so much
Right.
power?
And I mean, and yeah, and I think the common retort would be like, oh, well, it says in the Bible that you should control your tongue.
Yeah, you
Um,
know what? I know
yeah.
also about that. I know plenty of people who don't use a single quote unquote curse word, but they're the nastiest, most horrible people because the way that they talk about people, the way that they create controversy with their tongue, and they create division and discourse among people. They spread rumors. Oh, trust me, like that. This is something I dealt with at when I was in San Diego at a previous church. The people who were spread lies about me never uttered any sort of curse word ever.
Mm-hmm.
That like they would never use shit or fuck or damn or any of that stuff. But you know what they do? They spread lies with their tongue. That's what
Mm-hmm.
that verse is talking about.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and then kind of but also to add on to that, um, when you control something, when you control something, you have utter power over it. You know, so meaning like, could a component of control mean not to ever use those words? Sure, I totally grant that premise. But could it also possibly connote that you use them in a controlled manner, like kind of like again we mentioned hammer building a house previously. It's like, yeah, like you control the hammer to build a house, but you could also control the hammer to go into a guy's skull.
Yeah.
You know,
No, the
so
hammer. It wasn't the person. It was the hammer. We
right,
got
it
to
was
get
the
rid.
hammer. Yeah, I was like, no, no, Your Honor, it wasn't me. It was the hammer, clearly. But yeah, that because I think that also could be that understanding could also be applied to words. It's like, and I've explained this to people, like, yeah, every other word is not a fuck or shit or damn. I kind of use swear as like a punctuation. Like if I'm trying, if I use and I use it for emphasis, I use it uh, to make my point stronger.
It's an exclamation point, if
It's
anything.
an exclamation point, you know. Um, You know, it's like saying, oh, 2 + 2 is 4, and 2 + 2 is fucking 4. You know, it doesn't take away from the truth that 2 + 2 is 4.
2 + 2 is 4.
And so, yeah, I think, again, could control be about total, abstention? Yes, of course. But, could it also mean that, you are fully, I don't want to use control to define. Let's say command. Let's say, could it also mean that you are a command of when and when and where to use certain words? Yes.
Yeah.
That is an element of control. It's like it's like drinking. It's like any kind of vice or whatever. It's like, if you can control it, if you can control when you drink, you're not an alcoholic. I mean, I know I'm simplifying it like crazy, but
Yeah.
you guys kind of get the idea.
I get what you're saying. And the other thing too is that that pastor you mentioned with like his sermon, that's an effective use of that. I'm sure he definitely got
right.
there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, could he have said crap and maybe, but yeah, he could have said, you could say, oh, but you guys don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Like, yes, but then the
it's
right. It wouldn't be as powerful. It wouldn't have his message wouldn't have been as effective if he nerfed himself.
Yeah, and I'm glad he didn't nerf himself. He shouldn't have had to in that situation. And that's the other problem I have too, because now I'm the way that this why this conversation is coming up, like I'm sure that the people that were concerned about this are very well meaning. Like I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. And
you're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. I don't think that they meant any ill will or harm or like whatever. But the part of the problem is too that as someone who I didn't grow up at church at all. Like I came to church at a later time in my life, and like I said, uh, I have found that a lot of people like your friend, they grow up at church, and that's all they know. That doesn't make them perfect or whatever, but that there's a certain bubble that comes from being at church, growing up at church.
Right. Yeah. There's as opposed to a culture of Christ, it's more of a culture of church.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off like that because I don't think that I'm better than anyone. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's great that your parents are at church, you're at church, like you have this you have a culture that like you grew up at church. I think that's a good thing. But I see with the problem that develops is that you can lose sight of like what's important, and so you get into this like Christianese bubble, and like you start like all you talk like the things that you talk about, like you start to lose connection with people, like, and the whole idea of being a believer is to share the gospel, right? And in whatever capacity, like God bless him, our friend Joel. I mean, that guy he'll run down the street and like he'll find like 10 people and he's like, hey, have you heard about Jesus?
Yeah. Dude, he shares the gospel, on planes, just before everyone is allowed to disembark. He gets up, like there's video of him, like he gets up and starts proclaiming the gospel on airplanes.
Yeah,
when he literally has a captive audience.
Yeah, God bless him. Hey,
God bless him.
He's amazing, and there is that type of person. I am not that type of person. I am more. I'm a sniper, if you will. Joel is a shotgun. Like he just. But I'm a sniper rifle, like because I I'm more targeted because first of all, God brings the people to me half the time. Like it just and it comes up as like a natural thing. Like it doesn't. It's all the conversations I've had have never been forced. It's like more like, why are you a Christian? Like, oh, okay, well, I'll tell you my story, like why I believe. And there, ultimately that brings up questions as to like, oh, well, what about this and what about that? It's like, well, guess what? I do, for the most part, I have an answer as to why I believe that or what, and um, and like I think the way that I approach it is very genuine. The problem is like when you grow up at church, it's not that I wouldn't say laziness is the thing, but like I think you kind of lose sight of the fact where a lot of people are not. Peter talks about like always being prepared to have an answer for why you believe, and a lot of people like when they grow up at church, like it's their parents' faith. It's the church's statement on this. It's the pastor's statement on this, and they haven't actually like experienced real life in a lot of ways. Is I don't. That's kind of like a bad way to say like, oh well, you need to sin and like figure things out. It's like
Right.
no. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's like you.
Yeah, we're not saying to become a prodigal.
Yeah, that's not because that's not necessarily a good thing either. It's but like you have sequestered yourself off from like any sort of relevancy or culture or anything, and so you have nothing that you can relate to anybody with. And so you kind of like yeah, you have a light, but like you're hiding it under a basket in a sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like because okay, well, you know what a great place to like where you can actually have some really interesting conversations and this stuff comes up. Go to a bar, man. Like it can. I mean, it gets if you're not careful, it can get a little weird. But there's a lot of times where uh, people come up to me and like randomly like talk to me like about it's like, hey man, like what's and we'd end up talking by the end of it we're talking about the gospel, and I'm sharing like my testimony at a bar. And it's like, oh, a bar is a bad place. Like drinking is bad. It's like, it's not. It's really not. I mean, if you're getting like loaded at 6 a.m., before you've even started your day, that's a problem. Or like you're spending.
Yeah, if you're waiting outside the bar at 11:30, then yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah, if you're like Norm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because like we think like he was so well known at that bar. It's like that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. It's like the dude
that's not always a good thing.
They gave him keys to the bar. It's like it's like open up for us, Norm.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like because they're too afraid that they're gonna stumble into some sort of like sin somewhere. They end up like losing out on opportunities to do what the one duty they have. One of the main duties they have as a Christian.
Yeah, one of the non-negotiables.
Yeah. No, it's like you said. You don't like I said. You can be a sniper. It's you don't have to just like shout, "I am a Christian." You don't have to be that guy. But like I said, you're gonna when you pray about it, when you really like do the work and like kind of figure out why do I believe this, and you have to wrestle with it. It gets dirty, it gets messy, and you're gonna find times like, oh, I don't know what I think about this, and like it's like, do I really believe? You know how many nights I've gone and wrestled with that? Like, do I really believe this? With like, and hell, there's people that go through Bible college and seminary, and they leave the church, like they lose their faith because like it's just like it's hard. And for me, I ended up it not only made it, yeah, there was a lot of nights I wrestled, to be honest. And but I got through that. I rolled through the fertilizer, and it made me a stronger believer. Like there is absolutely nothing that will cause me to lose my faith. I really believe that. And so I'm sorry if I use strong language at times, or if maybe I am not the perfect picture of someone you would think of as a believer. And trust me, it's something that I wish I didn't have. And like I said, I'm a flawed person.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, I know, we might get accused of using vulgar language, but if you know anything about what that word means, it comes from the Latin Vulgate,
Yep.
which means common speech.
Yep.
And so you could say that we're being vulgar.
Thank
It's like,
you. I was
yeah, yeah, we
that was
are
actually
vulgar
the
because
next
we
thing
are
I was.
using common speech. We're not using you know Christianese. We're not using the dialect of the church. To talk to maybe unchurched people.
I
You
mean,
know.
I I can run theological circles around these people like any day of the week that I want to. You know that I can
And
do that.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's like, yeah, even one of our, our favorite thought leader, Owen Benjamin, he even, says about himself, like, yeah, I am vulgar. I use the Vulgate, the common speech, to talk to people. And it's like, and that's what we're doing. We're not, dressing up like, oh, have you heard, have you ever thought of like the Armenianism and da 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 blah blah blah. It's like, you say that to a random person, it's like that's going over their head.
Now, I'm not saying as a Christian that you shouldn't understand what the hell that is.
Right. As a Christian,
That's right. That is important to know. But that's not something that, like, if your goal is to share the and if your goal is to share the gospel, they're not going to understand what the hell that is.
Right. And I mean, yeah, and then, but yeah, and like, would you then call Jesus, vulgar for using Aramaic and not, like strictly Hebrew?
Well, I mean,
and I mean, and
time did.
What was that?
The people of his time did think of him as vulgar.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, and like even like when he gets frustrated with the disciples and stuff, he uses some pretty, I mean,
strong language.
He used some pretty strong language, like, oh, you stiff necked generation, you ye of little faith. What's the third one I had?
Listen, woman. I just honestly though, if
there was ever, little faith, like, you stiff necked generations. Oh, unbelieving generation.
If they did like a 70s remake of like the Ten Commandments, I would want Clint Eastwood to play Jesus, like, listen, woman.
But yeah, I mean, would not that be considered harsh? And that's his friends. Those are his best friends. And he's saying, like, he's basically calling them dumbasses.
Yeah. Yeah, his family in certain cases. Jeez.
Yeah. He was saying, like, oh, like who is my mother? You guys are my mother. I don't know who those people are, but you guys, whoever walks with me is my mother, is my brother. That's pretty hard. That's like disowning your family.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that it's just, it was something that we were talking about yesterday, and honestly, I've been thinking about it all day. Before we started the stream, and like I said, I really believe in myself. I'm a fertilizer merchant. Like I roll around in shit all day, right. And it's messy business.
Right. I mean, and you see yourself as a sniper. I feel, I don't know if I am, but I kind of think of myself as a knife fighter.
Yeah, you're really dude. That is very accurate, because what you do as with your homeless ministry, I mean, that you really have to be like a knife fighter, because you are up close and personal, baby. With
I mean, sometimes they're not, they're not the most, they're not the happy, smiling, oh shucks, kind of homeless.
That's the lovable tramp on the rail yard.
Yeah, exactly. With the stick and the bandana pouch.
Well, what is that? Is what the hell is that called? His
A hobo
bindle.
something? A
The
bindle, yeah,
bindle.
hobo
Yeah.
bindle on a stick, yeah. They're not always like that, and it's like and
No.
sometimes like they come like sometimes they come to me like high off their mind, and but that doesn't mean like I cast them out. It's like, oh, go get cleaned up first. No,
Yeah.
I welcome them, with open arms in the name of Jesus, and I give them something to eat, and then I offer and I offer to pray for them. And
But just
some people
yeah,
take the offer specifically on the prayer, and some people don't. Of course they're always willing to take the food, but
of course.
sometimes they accept the prayer, and sometimes they don't. And there's
That's
nothing
what
I can do.
exactly. It's like, no, goddamn it, I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, there are some people that would do that. It's like that would be like Joel. It's like, no, I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah. Joel will be like, no. It's like I don't take no for an answer.
The it's like he's gonna prayer rape you. Joel, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. But all right.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
I say that out of love.
Yeah. Oh man, this is not helping my case.
I'm crying right now. I'm laughing so hard. But like, just like when you were starting off, like talking about that pastor's sermon, is like, there's a lot of what you're doing. There's a lot of the people that would be like, where they're so concerned about like the proper look in the language, where it's like you're doing something that they don't give a shit about. Like if they had to deal with what you're doing, their ass would pucker so hard, and it's like they would come off as just like, oh, I'm better than these people. It's like, no, you're not. In fact, like they're an embodiment of like what we are struggling with it spiritually every single day.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Jesus even.
They're physically embodied like what we are dealing with inside.
Right, and I mean, yeah, and then Jesus said, like, whatever you do to the least of these, you've done to me.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, and like when Jesus said, oh, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was tired, you gave me rest. And it's like, when did I do these? Like, to those you've done to the least, you've done to me.
Exactly.
And so, and I take that very seriously. So I'm not doing, I don't do these homeless ministries because, I think, oh, I'm so much better than these guys, or, oh, because I'm such in a privileged position, I'm going to give out of my own goodness, the plenty from my splendor or whatever. It's like, no, I'm nothing. I do, I know I'm nothing. And about the only thing that makes me great is Jesus. And he says that if whatever you've done to the least of these, you've done for me. And so I'm not doing this for any specific person. It's because I'm doing it for Jesus.
You're not doing the whole Patrick Bateman thing. It's like, why don't you get a job?
Yeah. Like, get a job, Grouch.
Yeah, get it together, Grouch.
Get it together, Grouch.
Oh,
lovely. Anything else? Yeah.
No, that's all I had to say about that.
Okay, great. Yeah, perfect. All right, that'll conclude topics of discussion. So that means let's get into our movie review. And to remind y'all, tonight's movie review is El Dorado, starring again Robert Mitchum, John Wayne, Ed Asner, a very young Ed Asner.
That's right. Ed Asner's in this too. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. James Caan, Charlene Holt, Michelle Carey.
Yeah.
Let me hit everyone with the synopsis, and we'll get going. Heartless tycoon Bart Jason hires a group of thugs to force the McDonald family out of El Dorado so he can claim their land. J.P. Hera, the town sheriff, is too deep in the throes of alcoholism to help the family. When Hera's friend, noble elder gunfighter Cole Thornton, learns of the predicament, he travels to El Dorado with his upstart friend Mississippi to help Hera clean up in time for a shootout against Jason's men. This movie came out in 1967, directed by Howard Hawks.
The great Howard Hawks.
The great Howard Hawks.
Is this the first time you've come to this movie? Was this your first viewing of El Dorado?
Yes, it was the first time watching this movie.
Yeah, this is not one that I've watched a whole bunch. This is actually like I've only watched this maybe like 2 or 3 times. As far as like and I did it once just because like I've never seen this one before, and that was a couple years ago. And then I watched it a couple times for the review today, and I had to say like I think this is a great Western that not a lot of people talk about, and it's pretty star-studded. Obviously, like the big draws are Mitchum and and John Wayne. And this is this is kind of in the similar to because Howard Hawks had similar movies that he's also done that were like this about a sheriff defending his office against outlaws. Rio Bravo from 1959, which is great, and Rio Lobo from 1970, which I think I've seen that, but I don't remember. And those are both starring John Wayne. But yeah, this is just like one of those kind of Westerns that doesn't get talked about. And I'm a big Howard Hawks fan, similar to we've done some Howard Hawks films. I think the most recent was when we did The Thing from Outer Space during our The Thing review. And this was it John Carpenter's favorite director. He loves Howard Hawks.
Yeah.
But Howard Hawks is kind of did a lot of those kind of like pulp movies. Kind of the pulp sci-fi and the pulp westerns. And he does a great job, like where he took something that should have just been a B movie or like kind of just like a nothing, crap movie, and he made a masterpiece.
Right, he elevated it.
Yeah, and that's
mark of a true artist.
Yeah, and well, El Dorado was not. It was not like this was not a B movie based off the budget. It looks beautiful. And you have 2 of the biggest names at the time doing it. But I love the characters. I like the dialogue is really fun. Like I don't know about you, I found myself like laughing at some of the dialogue because I just love the camaraderie that is being displayed in as far as the dialogue goes with the characters. Like it felt like a genuine friendship between Cole and JP. Like those are guys that we don't get the backstory per se, but we get like kind of they have this history and kind of they've done a lot together, and they give each other shit. Mississippi or what was his full? They had that whole joke of like, wait, who is this guy again? Yeah. His name is Alan Ordillion Traherne. What? Like Travers. It's like Traherne. And then Mitchum and Wayne look at each other. It's like Traherne. It's like so like that trio of guys was great, and you have who's the you also have like the other deputy Bull. He's fucking funny too. He's
you know what? The relationship between JP and Bull reminded me of the relationship of I forget the character's name, but the Kurt Russell's character and the deputy in Bone Tomahawk.
Tomahawk. With Yeah, that's exactly what that relationship was. That is a great connection. And I'm sure that Craig Zoller was probably watching this movie, thinking about that.
Yeah. Richard Jenkins.
Yeah, Richard Jenkins, who is just a fantastic character actor, by the way. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great connection. I had not thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
The story is kind of interesting too because I mean it's kind of like we Cole is a gun for hire, similar to like what we find in like the Magnificent Seven. So it's a story that we've heard 1,000 times in a western.
Yeah.
But when he finds out, like he hasn't even is inquiring about this job that he got a message for, and he gets confronted by JP. It's like, hey, don't take this job. They're trying to outmuscle this family from their land, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Like, I haven't even looked in. I haven't even inquired about the job yet. I was going to find out about it. It's like, but if that's what you say it is, and there was enough trust there that is like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it. I'll just tell them that I'm
Right.
no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can tell like they've been through some shit together, and maybe before JP became a lawman, they rode together, and not necessarily as bandits, but maybe just like kind of as like professional gunfighters.
Yeah, no, there was nothing that would say like they were bandits. They were hired guns, but they were honorable men.
Right. Yeah. So they're professional gunfighters. Yeah. Not. Yeah, I know. Like it could be misconstrued, but they rode together, meaning like they were outlaws. But I just meant like they traveled together and like they were probably professional gunfighters, and
Yeah.
And just they took the odd job as like muscle or whatever. But yeah, but like you said, yeah, but they're honorable men.
And so he tells our what turns out to be our bad guy of the film, Ed Asner's character, which was
Bart Jason.
Yeah, Bart Jason. He's not going to do the job.
Right. Never trust a man with two first names.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know what I didn't realize is that one of the bartenders in this movie was Robert Mitchum's brother.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It was uncredited, but yeah, it was his brother that played one of the bartenders.
Oh, I see.
I think it's the one like where like he ended up having to shoot he almost got his hand shot off. But he's like, "Don't reach for that damn gun."
Oh yeah, towards the latter part of the movie.
The guy that's his brother.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Cool. But anyways, but through that, like the family that ends up, the McDonald family, they see Cole riding away from Bart Jason's group, and ends up like where he accidentally shoots one of the sons there because he's being shot at, and before he can go to like help him out, he ends up committing suicide. He kind of ends up like shooting himself in the head he thinks he's gonna die, and so in honorable fashion is that he brings the body to the family, and he explains the situation. And yet, when he's doing that, the daughter Joey rides off, and it's like before she hears the truth, and as he's going away, she shoots him in the back.
Yeah, takes a shot at him.
Yeah, and which ends up becoming a huge plot point in the movie because the bullet doesn't hit his spine, but it's like almost pressed up his nerve.
Yeah, I guess lodged in like the muscle.
So it's like, and he has to be careful. So Cole has to be careful because occasionally that bullet will keep pressing up against that nerve, and it shuts down like pretty much like the right side of
his body,
his gun hand, if you will. But the one thing that I felt was kind of confusing about the film is I don't know if you had this problem, but I certainly did. Was the time lapse because Cole's like he arrives in town, has this situation happen, but he leaves town. But then there's this period of time that ends up happening. Apparently, it was like 6 months. This is where he meets Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, then he hears about like there's a problem back in El Dorado where
Mm-hmm.
JP is at, and like whatever woman left him, and he's a drunk.
Right.
Did
Yeah.
you did that make sense? Did that time lapse make any sense to you? That was the one part that I think that bothered me about the film.
No. Yeah. It didn't make sense. Maybe because we weren't privy to the actions of that time lapse, so like there wasn't anything that it didn't throw back. Like I don't think there wasn't anything. Yeah, there was no throwback to El Dorado and JP going through the relationship and then like the eventual heartache. So
So
it did kind of throw it off because we weren't privy to that, so it didn't make sense for us to then jump all the way 6 months back with Cole and then hearing about uh, the sheriff's problems.
I think what it would have helped is maybe adding like an extra 3 to 5 minutes of the film and just showing kind of
Which
Cole and Mississippi like riding together, like and like as and like the outfits changed, like the seasons change or like something changed. Like, we see some sort of like montage of them riding together.
Okay. I thought the 6 months was already happened. That when he pulls into that when Cole pulls into that new town and then he meets up with
No, apparently that was like so. What I think of is like because maybe that is
no, it is because what is it McLeod Nels McLeod, he's the one that tells Cole about JP and like how he's in bad sorts and stuff.
Okay. You know what? Never mind. I take back what I said. I don't know why like that. I missed that because that makes sense. Okay, it is done through the dialogue of the time change. We just it was. I don't know why I didn't catch that. I'm just dumb. That's what it is.
That's why even monkeys fall from trees.
That's true.
But yeah, but yeah, it was a little bit. It was a little bit weird that after Cole gets shot and he leaves town and then in that time in that time where when we see him again and he's pulling into that town, like 6 months has gone by. It's like you don't really necessarily register that.
Well, it's like it. Well, I mean, it is John Wayne, but even he can't recover that quickly, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I think so in that way I was thrown off because it's like, he was shot in the back, he kind of collects himself or whatever, and then he's like, on the trail again, and then we see him again, he's pulling into town, and he seems more or less fine.
But yeah, man, Robert Mitchum plays a great drunk.
Yeah, I was totally I was believing that he was actually drunk, and he might have been. I don't know.
That looked like a legit hangover. I mean, that hangover sweat.
Yeah.
God, he looked fucking terrible. He looked awful.
Yeah, and just like the beard and just like that look of like he's using all his willpower to like keep himself upright
and not throw up.
Yeah, and not throw up.
Oh, God.
I did love that bit though when when he does start to sober up and he's taking a bath and everybody brings him a bar of soap.
Oh, dude, that was just like, oh, thank you. This is just what I needed.
Yeah.
And then getting pissed off because like I'm taking a bath here. Can you go away?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I think I would have like less of an audience if I was like right at the El Paso train station. You know, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah. And then like it's like and
and
it's
it's like
funny because like he like because what is it? Marty comes to come visit, and like because he's like had so many visitors. Like, oh, it's okay, Marty. I'll close my eyes.
yeah. That line was great.
Yeah.
That's great dialogue. That's the part I was like talking about. Like this movie has a lot of great comedic timing and like it's fun.
Yeah, the beats were perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, like I don't like I didn't see if there was like any problems between like the actors, but man, they all like I believe that they were all like good friends.
Mm.
You know, they had like yeah,
Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie, but I could have sworn you telling me how Mitchum and Wayne didn't really get along.
no. What you're thinking about the professionals? That was with Burt Lancaster and Lee Marvin. They hated each other during the production of that film.
Well, yeah, I remember that, but I could have sworn that you also mentioned something about El Dorado.
Hold
I
on a
could be
second.
wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong.
No, I don't. I don't think. I actually think that they got along okay. They weren't in a lot of movies together, but like, no, I don't remember reading anything about like them like not liking each other.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the one movie I was telling you about, like where like the camaraderie
Right,
felt
right,
weird,
that I
it was
remember. Yeah,
Burt
the
Lancaster and
professionals.
Lee
Yeah.
Marvin.
Hmm.
That was that they the director of that film thought it's like there was a scene they had to film like where they're doing like they're on the top of the mountain kind of like overlooking things.
Hmm.
uh he really thought that Burt Lancaster was going to throw Lee Marvin off that fucking mountain. You know, um you want to know something really interesting about this film, that Japan got this film before we did.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Japan got to see this film before we did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was released December 17th, 1966 in Japan,
Hmm.
and it was released here in the US June 7th of 1967.
Huh.
That is I, I mean, okay, I didn't realize that. Uh, I mean, westerns and samurai films kind of go hand in hand, so
Right.
I see like why it would be popular over in
Hmm.
Japan. But that's really interesting. That
Yeah, that American movie first debuted in another country.
yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any reason as to why that happened.
Right. Yeah. It just seemed. Yeah, it seems kind of odd.
I might have to
But
like this. Actually, might be one of. I might have to buy the Blu-ray of this film and see if they have any information about that. Because,
mm,
um, but yeah, like this film, I thought all the characters were cool. I thought the story was fun. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of the typical Western story. You got these, kind of you have this family that is trying to protect their land from these from these evil bastards, and you have the hired guns that are there trying to protect them, and they put themselves in danger from these guys. And but then it's we talked about this too, like where plot and story are different.
mm,
So it is a uh, yeah, the plot is very similar to other westerns, but the
mm,
story is different because the characters are different, and like the
right.
camaraderie between those characters are different. Um, and this is like, so you could say like, oh, it's just another stupid western. It's saying the same thing. It's like, but it's not. It really is not saying the same thing. And that goes to the writing, because we've seen this story, we've seen this plot before,
Mm,
but we don't have the same characters. We have different characters that are doing, these are different people.
mm.
Um, and that's what makes it fun. And uh, I had a great time watching this film. I don't know about you.
No, yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed this movie. I was a little confused at the beginning because I thought Marty and JP were together. But I guess that's not the case.
No, no, Monty was always interested in Cole, but
Right,
like and they obviously had a relationship of some sort.
right.
Not necessarily a romantic relationship, but very close.
Hmm.
but she was interested in Cole, as we find
Right.
out.
And well, yeah, it just seemed like as I think it was kind of a uh, school age kind of crush thing where like she was very young when she first met Cole, and he was like
Right,
kind of like the gallant like
White Knight.
save white knight, and like he helped her, and I think like she just just fell in love with him, and so I think she was kind of waiting, biding her time, as it were.
Yeah, so there's that relationship.
Yeah, but I was because like especially the dialogue between JP and Cole, it made it seem like it was almost like they were kind of they were making uh, insinuations that they were like Eskimo brothers.
Oh,
I mean, I probably misread the
man,
dialogue, but
I didn't see that, but I mean, because from my understanding is that because we never actually see JP's relationship, like because he
right
comes,
with that chorus girl, we
yeah.
never see it. We're just told about it.
So and Monty's not a chorus girl by any means.
No, no. Of course, I didn't. Yeah. So that's when I found out that like he was heartbroken by some chorus girl. It's
I
like
bet
okay,
you,
because
I bet you was one of the people that the business that Monty ran.
hmm
I think it's one of her girls that JP was with.
yeah. So that's why I was a little bit confused in the beginning because I thought that JP and Marty were together. And
Because
like
what she runs like a cabaret or something like that, or
or
like
like I think she runs a hotel or like some sort of like boarding facility.
yeah, it's like a hotel boarding facility slash cabaret. It's it's the Wild West. Of course,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
one of
Of
the
course it is.
it's a mixture of those things.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, but like initially I thought like the dialogue between JP and Cole, I thought they were like saying like oh like they're Eskimo brothers and
I didn't get that, but that it, I might have to watch now. I have to watch it again just to see like that.
yeah.
Now,
Again, it could have just been my misinterpretation of the situation.
um,
But yeah,
I don't.
I thought JP was with Marty, but yeah, but evidently not because he gets heartbroken by some other girl and
Yeah, and then Mississippi and Joey kind of right away get the hots for each other.
right.
So like the
Although
so
I
they
wouldn't blame it. She yeah,
dude, she was
she's
and there is no like see here's the other thing that I like you everyone's like oh we need strong females we need it's like were there any damsels in distress in this film? Zero.
there's zero.
Like
I
even
mean, at at the most generous, Maudie was kind of a damsel in distress.
I would see no I
But
disagree.
not. I know. I think like she might have been. She could have been, and like she was put in a lot of situations where she could have come off as the damsel in distress and like just been taken as like the hostage, but she wasn't. So she was right there at right on the cusp. But
She was
I don't. But the director I don't think never went a full damsel.
no I see I disagree with that actually too because she was she a did she have a gun? No. But was she always she was trying to help our main characters and she put herself
Right.
in
Yeah, and I'm not saying that she was useless or like she didn't have a spine and or nothing like that. But there were so many opportunities for her to become like, especially like when, Mississippi and Bull go in, to go after that guy that took a shot at him. And they ran into the saloon, and Marty happens to be there, and like and they take out Bull, and then they knock out Mississippi, and they could have easily taken Marty as a hostage, but they didn't.
but they didn't.
Yeah, but they didn't, and so that's what I meant. Like
Oh, I see what you're saying.
she's as close to a damsel in distress without being a damsel in distress.
That's you're right. And that's something like you don't see. Yeah, you would think that like, oh, of course there's gonna, like Joey's gonna be like a weakling and like Maddie's gonna be a weakling, all like, but hell, like actually our main characters get helped by several women. There's
Mm-hmm.
the what I assume is a prostitute that like talks to
Where
Mississippi
the
about
hell's
like
Mississippi?
I
Yeah,
got
that's right.
yeah, and she doesn't seem helpless, and she's like, I hate
Mm-hmm.
these people, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, I
Yeah,
don't
she
have
was doing it a little bit more covertly, but she was still
yeah.
sticking her neck out.
Joey is like guns blazing, like
Yeah, I
she
mean, what is it like? Yeah, after JP goes and arrests Jason, Bart Jason, like she almost like lays like cover fire for them basically. I know she was trying to take a shot at Jason, but like she was essentially covering them as they were making their way back to the jail.
if anybody's a damsel in distress, it's a couple of the McDonald boys. It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I forget which one. One of the boys. Like he gets captured by one of them.
yeah. So it's like I said, this movie is like it's great. Like and uh, so don't everyone's like, oh, we need strong females in films. We've never had it before. It's like, dude, like we had it. Like you look back in 1967, this El Dorado, dude. Like,
Yeah, and I
and
mean you don't
I
even
think
have to look,
you
and
don't look very
even further back, the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy
yeah.
wasn't she was the main character. She was a strong, headstrong, independent woman.
Hell, I can look at like several like noir films too. Like one we haven't done yet, a couple that we haven't done yet, like Nightmare Alley and Double
Mhm.
Indemnity. The women, or hell, we did the Postman Always Rings Twice. Were the women in that film weak? Fuck no.
No, they were the most conniving ones.
They're the conniving evil bitches that like are like running the show. It's like, come on. It's crazy. Like I don't understand. I think people have lost their damn minds. Like they think that like they're
Clearly,
I've created this new thing that's never happened before. It's like no, you haven't.
I
I'm
know.
sorry,
It's like
you
a
have
strong,
not.
independent woman. Yeah.
It's like no, God. I really hate that so much. Like just stop it, people. Like you don't even have
Get
to
some help.
look very hard. Like I'm not even like pulling up some obscure film. Like these are some of the most popular movies of all time that like are considered like the great classics. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Um, but anyways, any final thoughts on El Dorado, Andy? Did obviously you liked it?
I did. I definitely did. It was a little, it was a little jarring to see such a young Ed Asner.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, you always I always think of it like he was always an old man, but not in
Yeah,
this young man.
I mean, kind of like my perception of Morgan Freeman is like he was never young. He was just less old.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. Yeah. If there's nothing else to add, let's give our reviews and we'll wrap it up. Or ratings.
Yeah. Um, I guess I'll go first. Man, I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna give this a 4.5. Um, this is actually a really good Western.
Mm-hmm.
One, I like Howard Hawks a lot. I tend to like his movies.
Mm-hmm.
He has a way to turn what should be like a crap into gold.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, he had a bigger budget, and one, the movie just looks beautiful. It's the colors are vibrant,
Mm-hmm.
and he just has like the way that he uses the camera is he does such a great job. And westerns he does a great job with his westerns. Like I don't if you've seen Red River, Rio Bravo, Rio Lobo. This film, they have that Howard Hawks way about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did. Was it The Thing from Outer Space? Which I think was a revolutionary film in a lot of ways. But yeah, he's a great director. You can't go wrong with Robert Mitchum and John Wayne. Like that, those two are like at the time were like heavy hitters. Like you want those guys in your movie because they're gonna give it their best go. And then you have like a great like side cast, James Caan, who was kind of an unknown at the time, who ended up becoming a big star. Ed Asner, I think the same thing. I don't know if he necessarily became like a huge film star, but he was huge in television, with like the Mary Tyler Moore Show and all that stuff. All the and even like some of the contract players that were like around too, like all like like Bull and like all these other characters. It's like they're so fun, and the Bull is like a good character. I think he's so funny. I really liked his character a lot. So yeah, I think the movie looks beautiful. I think the characters are great. The dialogue is fun, and the story is good. So yeah, 4.5. I don't really have a. I pause from giving it a 5-star only because some of the way the time passes is a little confusing in the film. But that's a not much. It's not really a huge problem.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna come under you and with a solid 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was I think that editing wise, there could have been a little bit better. Like that time jump.
Yeah.
Could have been handled. Could have been handled better. Instead of instead of ending with Cole's character, he could have gotten shot, and then we could have gotten a quick kind of like a meet cute where JP meets this girl, and then it could have jumped to 6 months down the road, and she leaves him, and leaves him in utter disrepair, and then we could jump back to Cole as he's riding into the town.
Yeah, that's the one knock I have on it, where it's like it's there. They do address the time, like the time difference.
Yeah.
It's a little convoluted, a little bit.
Yeah, and I think just like another 6 minutes would
I like that.
Cleared all that up.
Yeah, I think an extra 3 to 5 to 6 minutes would have to just address that a little bit would have been perfect in some way.
Yeah, but cause, usually I only ding things for technical reasons, but yeah, this was a gorgeous movie. I think it still holds up to today. So, it's like, are they using older filming techniques and just not only shooting it from specific angles and utilizing more wide shots? Yeah, sure, but I would say the movie still holds up.
Oh God, yeah, it does. I think I agree. It's great.
So yeah, solid 4 for me.
Yeah. What Mitchum movie are we doing next week, Andy? What do you want to do? We have 3 left. We're gonna do.
Is it 3? Oh yeah. Let me pull that up real fast.
Yeah. So I
did Dorado. I mean, I'm not familiar with any of these movies, so it really is just.
I think that we should do The Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Okay.
I think it's a very interesting gangster film.
Okay.
And what I've heard is that this is the inspiration for Goodfellas as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, as far as the
structure.
Not necessarily the structure, but it's what makes this film unique is it was the first time that you are looking at kind of the common gangster, because we had The Godfather and all that.
Oh, so the street level thugs.
Street level thugs, gangster. That's what the character that Robert Mitchum plays.
Okay.
So that's where they did it. This movie did it before Goodfellas did it.
I see. Okay. All right, then that's the movie we'll do next week. Again, that's the Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're gonna like it a lot. I really enjoy this film. I think I'm gonna add that to my buy list. I'm gonna because they do have a Criterion release of it. So, and
Okay.
like I said, Robert Mitchum, I love him. It's one of my favorites.
All right, folks. Something to look forward to next week. Yeah, that is our review of El Dorado. Robert gives it a 4.5. I give it a 4. Would recommend this movie. It's a great one. It is a little long, but I mean, in the age of 3 hour long epics,
It's 2 hours. 2 hours.
yeah, you won't notice.
You don't have to take a pee break.
Yeah, you might have to take a pre-bake, but it's you're at your own house, you'll be fine. All right, everybody, that bring us to the end of our stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
Honestly, I really did have a good time today. Like I got a lot off my chest.
That's good.
It was
good.
very.
You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to keep that bottled up.
Yeah, it was very cathartic today, Andy. I like it.
Right. Oh yeah. To bring back something I used to say a while ago, is that we have achieved catharsis.
We have achieved it.
All right. If you enjoyed the stream, don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circulatory's main podcast, episodes of Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd or Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circulatory's Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.